Good morning, my dear tenor society, confused people, confused tenor society. Yes, we are back. I'm here with another little video, a quick tip this time. And I want to talk a little bit about this SNARL. This is something that I have myself integrated into my singing for a couple of months now, right? Probably around 6 months, 5-6 months. So it's quite new, but it has made a world of difference. So much so that as soon as I did it, it clicked immediately and I just started applying it to all my singing. And I want to talk about this because I think that it might help quite a few of you as well. I have used the YAWN as an onset for practically my entire singing career. It's usually what we're told, and it's usually what is mostly taught. This idea of inhaling like you're yawning, so that we have this feeling of the palate raising, of the larynx lowering, and we have an open throat. Now, there's nothing wrong with this, okay? The yawn has been taught for hundreds of years, okay? By the greats as well. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. If you have no problem with your onset, then keep on going. However, I have realized the more that I teach, that when I talk about the yawn, usually it leads students in the wrong direction, especially if you're, again, kind of a beginner or just starting out. Why? Because the yawn, when you do such a thing, the first instinct is to lower everything to its max. The larynx can get compressed. And the vowels, do you hear my vowels? You see how dark that is? It invites temptation to over-darken everything. Your vowels get over-darkened. Your larynx gets over-lowered. The voice is incredibly difficult to maintain in such a low position without initiating some sort of muscular tension. It's harder to get chord closure in this position as well, especially if you're compressing your larynx. And if you don't get chord closure, you're gonna have a breathy, artificially dark sound. And lastly, trying to get this over-compressed, lowered position to the high notes is gonna be a nightmare. It's gonna feel like lifting 100 pounds. However, the wonderful thing about the yawn is that we can all relate to it, right? If I ever wanna have a student to open their throat, right? La gola aperta, which is what we need when we sing. If I ever need a student to do that, I could tell them, hey, you know when you yawn, do the same thing. So the yawn is relatable because we all do it. From when we're born until we're adults, we're constantly yawning because it's just a natural part of human life. We get tired, and we all do that. And instinctually, it gets into this beautiful head voice sigh position. So that part of the yawn is fantastic. It's correct. My problem with the yawn is when it gets overdone, over-darkened, and it starts to mess with the singing voice, the clarity and the effortless method that should be applied when singing tenor. So because of that, I don't really teach the yawn anymore, at least not in that way. I now have implemented this concept of a SNARL. And just like you saw in the beginning of this video with the great Mario del Monaco, Salvatore Fisichella, Nicolai Gedda, even Björling, they always have like this internal smile, right? In which you can see their teeth. This is very important. It's kind of like they're lifting their upper lip, like a vampire, or like they're about to bite into the sound. Right? And this feeling of internal smile feels like a whole different world to me when I started applying it. So let me talk about this in more depth. When I make my onset, okay, I take a nice deep breath just like I would if I was yawning. So that part of the yawn is still intact. I still find space. My palate is raising, my larynx is lowering. However, the difference between the snarl and the yawn is this feeling that the yawn to me is always quite deep and downwards. The larynx feels really low, dangerously low. My lips, my upper lips are covering the top teeth, and there's almost a downward momentum into my jaw. And my vowels, right, where I feel that raise, that opening, right, is really down there. So my vowels, instead of getting a clear I get a muddied, over darkened even with good chord closure. It's quite dark. It's not a bad sound, but it's not the most comfortable, relaxed sound that I can take up to the high notes. And most importantly, I know internally that this is also artificially fake. I'm kind of faking. I'm putting extra depth, extra dark in the sound, a little ingolatto, to make the voice sound warmer and darker, and the vowels are much more muddled. And I don't want that. I don't really want that in my singing. So this idea of the snarl, I feel it much higher. And that is the key to this entire video, is finding height. And you're gonna see this with all these great tenors. It's almost as if the yawn is here. And where you snore is here. Really, really frontal, almost nasal. We don't want any of those. We don't want super forward, I don't want you to ever shove sound or place sound or anything like that. I don't want you to think about placing sound forward or none of that. So if you're snoring here and you're yawning down here, the snarl is kind of right in between these two spectrums, like this diagonal height. And I really feel when I take a breath and I feel that cool air touching my palate, I really feel it touching tall, almost right in the middle where the soft palate and the hard palate meet. It's really caressing that area. So let's see if we can find it together, okay? An example of how to find this snarl is try to hiss like a cat. You know how a cat hisses? It's like a H-I sound. It's all air. It's just about air. Don't make a actual vowel. It's just about releasing air. And really when you hiss, really try to find the most amount of height in which you feel that air as it's coming out, as it's being released, caressing and touching that top of the palate. You should feel this adjustment in which it feels forward. It's coming like over the hill and forward. Okay, so now, maintaining that sensation, instead of releasing air, we're gonna take an inhalation and open the throat in that manner. So again, the hiss, the snarl. You see how immediately when I do that snarl, you can see my front teeth, okay? My mouth remains quite vertical, never just wide. Okay, that's too wide, too open. Vertical. So we have this incredible vertical column of space now built. And I feel this space just as much as I feel when I yawn, if not even deeper. But I feel this height, and this height is such a wonderful reminder that tells me, hey, when you make your onsets, don't let your vowels, your tongue, don't let all of that fall into that dark space. Keep it out of it. Keep it forward. Keep it lifted, height. And now you have a clear Italian vowel. E, U, O. Not in the yawn. E, O. Oh, which I hear a lot, and this is why I have made this change. And I think this might help a lot of you. If you're singing like this, and record yourselves, it's the best thing you can do. If you're singing your vowels like this, ask yourself, is that how an Italian sings an ah vowel? It's not a bad sound, but if you want to be your best self, if you really want to take your singing to the next level, is that really how an Italian sounds? So they go and say, come stai? Va bene? Sì. Ah, perfetto. No. Ah, ciao. Va bene. Come stai? I. There's a lot of this dental, focused, clean chord closure. And that, I think, is the most important part of the whole video when it comes to the snarl. This ability will allow you to get a clear tone that's not breathy, that's not over darkened, and that it sounds Italianate. Integrate this with the way you inhale, just how you inhale and you breathe thoracically, at least how you should. Expanding those intercostals, lowering that diaphragm. That inhalation, apply the snarl to it so it happens simultaneously. I feel this lift. And I apply all the elements that we talked about in the previous videos. The sigh, the gentle attack, It's really amazing because, again, like this internal smile, I feel the buzz, the squillo right here, almost like right in my resonance chamber. I'm not placing the sound there. No, please don't mistake that Jose is telling you to place the sound. I am not. Do not go, That's not it. That's shoving sound nasally. No, it's just clean chord closure in a wonderful cavern of space in which the vowel is bright and clean and clear. Another way to find the snarl is doing this smile. Give me a nice big smile. Okay, and the first thing, really show me teeth. The first thing is you're gonna notice perhaps you have a little tension here because when we smile, we activate all these muscles. That's fine, relax, massage yourself a little bit. Really try to find relaxation in this position, okay, as much as you can. It might take some time, but really feel like you can find a lot of relaxation and try to sing everything in this smile, making space even though you're smiling, really finding that dome, that open throat, even when you're smiling. You're gonna find that when you smile, it's impossible to go, oh, no. It's going to be much higher, much taller, this vertical column. Okay, once you found relaxation in singing these vowels and creating this space, then all I want you to do is really just drop the jaw dead. Like it's morbido. They shot you a shot of anesthesia. And the tongue as well, completely numb and relaxed. There it is. Relax now into this position. Massage yourself, you need to massage yourself. And there you will always have this feeling of showing these teeth, like you can bite into the sound,
right? It's almost as if I had an imaginary apple and I'm gonna bite into it. Actually, that might even help with some of you. Get an apple, bite into the apple, feel how that apple, when it's in your mouth, is touching that palate. That's the height that you want. And as I'm singing higher and higher and higher and higher, I'm stretching more and more and more and more, aiming for more height as I'm singing. Okay, you can never have too much height, ever. It's really finding more and more and more height, right? And really staying away from over darkening that initial vowel creation. Now, one thing to keep in mind, okay, when you're striving to create this clean, clear, forward sounding, bright vowel, okay, there could also be the temptation of overdoing it and disrupting the process of stretching and thinning the chords, which is always a no-no. Nothing, no matter what we do, can disrupt this process. As we ascend, we need to stretch and thin the chords. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this. I'm going towards this forward, almost shoving sound, not wanting to change the position at all and not striving for depth or space. I'm just going in one direction. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm also not talking about the other extreme, which is just the space, the depth, the cavernous, the dome, the over breathy, over spacious side of the voice, which is just, I'm not thinking about that either, okay? I don't want you to go into any of those directions. If anything, when you do the snarl and you feel this height being built, you should also feel a stretch, almost like these two opposing forces going in contrary direction. As you phonate, one force is trying to maintain clarity in the vowels and the tone. The other force is constantly trying to find more height and more depth as you ascend. It feels like this almost stretch. It's like another type of stretch in which two forces are moving in contrary motion. It's very much similar when you're stretching perhaps one part of the body in one direction and you're stretching another part of the body, like your leg, in a different direction. I don't know if my camera won't let me show you because it's tracking my face, but my leg is going in this direction and my arm is going in that direction to really feel that stretch there. It's that same idea when it comes to this, finding height and maintaining the vowel and the tone clarity as bright and clear as possible. This is going to help a lot of you get that extra squillo, that extra resonance, that extra volume, and even power in the voice. Power is not found in muscling it. It's found in tone clarity, in bright, clear vowels, in good, efficient, clean chord closure. That's not efficient chord closure. That's actually quite breathy and dark. And that sound is not going to cut through an orchestra. That is going to be much cleaner. And that is very much more in tune with how these old school singers sang. Try the smile. Try showing teeth. Try biting into the sound. As you're singing the vowel, feel that caress in that soft palate. I feel like you could hold that forever because it's just in the right pocket. It's just in that right place. So think about that snarl. Think about feeling that height. Think about all the concepts that we talked about and apply them to this, to your voice, to your singing. Apply them to this onset. And see how you feel. you should be able to get the same amount of depth and preparation, that same open throat with a yawn, but the feeling of keeping everything else away from the space that you're making, which is wonderful. You don't want to make this space and then everything fall into that space. No, keep it away. Keep that open space spacious and empty so that you have all the room you need to ascend and descend and sing a musical phrase however you want. Try the snarl, try the smiling, try the hiss. Find what you need to do to find more height than depth. The inflection is never low. It's always high. Because as tenors, we need to go into unnatural lengths to achieve this unnatural high notes that men don't usually speak in ever in a day-to-day basis. We need to get up there, and to get up there, we need to make it as easy for ourselves as possible.
This is not making it easy for you. This is very much how a lower voice might approach their singing, but as tenors, this is a huge no-no. We want to have that focus, that ping. See, now I'm in the sigh position, I'm in the yawn, I'm in the tilted position, but in a snarl, okay? And so my sound, even though it's gentle and it costs me nothing, it's quite soothing. I have a lot of focus in the sound. There's a lot of resonance in it without me even trying to add resonance. It's just clean and clear. There's a famous vocalization by the great Salvatore Fisichella that you can also try so that you can try to build this focus, this narrowing, this clarity of tone while also maintaining the relaxation of the sigh. Keep going half step by half step by half step, or whole step by whole step by whole step, however you like, but you're gonna find it's probably gonna be very different. It might even be very difficult at first to maintain the space and maintain the height, but keep the vowel clarity always pure, like an Italian would. Finding that chord closure in that position, that's much more forward, much more tall, much more tenorial and resonant. Try that out. Like always, this is my experiences. These are my observations. You're free to try them out. If they work, fantastic. If they don't, throw them away. You never have to use them ever again. I wish you all the best of luck in your vocal journey. The work continues. Until next time. Ciao, ciao.